Roadblasters. Roadblaster. No, it doesn't quite have the same ring. Released in 1991 for the Sega Genesis, courtesy of Tenjin, and based on the 1987 Atari Games arcade game of the same name. Sounds about right. Is a driving game right up my alley. More so than that outrun battle thing or whatever it's called that we looked at ages ago. You drive a car, you blow up other cars with your guns, all the while avoiding other enemies and hazards as you make your way to the end of the rally before your fuel supply runs out. It's basically a souped up spy hunter, only instead of driving along one continuous road, you're trying to blast your way through 50 short little rallies, and if you manage to complete the final 50th course, you get a free t-shirt. Anyways, you're driving down this road, things come at you, you shoot them or you avoid them unless you want to explode into a flaming pile of debris, which will slow you down a bit. You can acquire occasional gadgets that a chopper will drop for additional firepower or other benefits that will either run out or be lost in the flames if you crash, as well as collect green balls or red balls along the way, and also crossing the midway checkpoint to refuel your vehicle, which is important because if you run out of fuel, you lose a life and are forced to redo the track, and if you lose all your lives, it's game over. Roadblasters is one of those games where you could choose to start at a later level of higher difficulty, and if you clear it, you get a hefty point bonus, and sometimes you get a chance to warp to a later level as you're playing the game. The faster you clear a track, the more points you score, and you could also score some reserve fuel, which is a second wind of sorts that kicks in as soon as your main tank is exhausted. Not a whole lot to say about Roadblasters. This game is an arcade driving game, so naturally you're getting fairly simplistic yet what I feel satisfying gameplay that is paired up with a difficulty curve that gradually increases as you get farther into the game. Naturally, things start off a bit easy, but then you're given new threats to deal with and not crash into, but rather shoot them into oblivion, be it with your main guns or with your weapons that you gain like rapid fire cannons or cruise missiles. It doesn't get more complex than that. So if you're looking for something deeper in your road blasting escapades, you're not going to find that here. This is pure arcade simplicity that brings on the fun as well as the eventual heat, and sometimes that's all you really need. I had a blast with this. Control is pretty tight and responsive, though sharp turns can sometimes be a struggle, but nothing that can't be overcome with a bit of practice, especially at high speeds. Holding down the A, B, and C buttons on the title screen will bring up the options, where you can alter your difficulty setting, switch the game mode to a practice mode, which I haven't tried, or you could choose one of two control schemes, either one that lets you control acceleration, or one that accelerates automatically and lets you focus on the shooting action. Either way works, and learning the controls shouldn't take long to figure out. Roadblasters looks pretty good, and the Genesis version does a fine job of recreating the arcade presentation. The cars and other objects are well represented, the scaling's pretty smooth, some of the background scenery is simple yet distinct. I'd imagine the arcade original runs a little smoother and tighter than this Genesis port, but this looks and runs good enough in my book. Sound is also pretty decent. No music save for a couple jingles here and there, which sound fine, and the sound effects are the usual stock explosive sounds that sound pretty good by Tenjin Genesis standards. Whatever that actually entails, I'm not quite sure, but when something explodes, it sounds like an explosion, so there you go. Overall, Roadblasters is a fairly decent little arcade port that's fun for a lark, though don't expect anything more than what you get on the surface, which is good old-fashioned road blasting joy that does exactly what it says on the tin. Good stuff, this Road Blaster game, one worth checking out. Whether it's this fine Genesis port, if you want to try an arcade emulated version, I think one of the Midway arcade treasures has that game. Might have to pull that out one of these days. But yeah, Roadblasters, fun little game.